Section 4.2, the technology connection, what we're asked to do in this part is to match each of these with the graphs below. So let's go ahead and do that, and we'll write down the answers at the very end. Let's start with this very first one. Let's go ahead and plug this in our graphing calculator. Okay, so if I go ahead and plug it in, I have y is equal to 3. Move it up just a little bit there. To the negative. Make sure we hit the negative. You hit the negative down here on the bottom, not the minus on the side. Negative parentheses x plus 1 squared. And then for my window, I want my window to be the same thing as a graph paper, which all of them are negative 10 to 10. So if you look at my window, I had negative 10 to 10 for both x and y. Now let's go ahead and graph it, see which function looks closest to it. Okay, so there's the function you can see. It's definitely not A. It's definitely not B. It would actually be C. So equation 1 goes along with part C. Okay, now let's go to the second equation there. So now what we're going to do is we're going to look at this equation, see which one this goes along with. So let's go ahead and plug in our graphing calculator. So I have y is equal to, I'm going to clear this out, 2 raised to the power of negative absolute value of x. So negative, my absolute value key again is located under the math key. So I hit math, num, x. And then if I go ahead and graph this one, we want to see which one this corresponds to. Okay, here is this one, and we can tell this is definitely A. So if we take a look at this one, 2 definitely goes along with A right there. Okay, let's go to the next one. Now we're going to look at number 3. Y is equal to the absolute value of 2 to the x minus 1. Let's go ahead and plug that in. Okay, so I'll clear that out. And I have the absolute value of, so let's start with the absolute value, 2 to the x minus 1. Okay, let's go ahead and graph that one. Okay, there it is. Now if we look at which graph it's closest to, you could probably tell already. It's B. B is number 3. And then finally, let's do this very last one. Let's do 4. Let's go ahead and do number 4 in our graphing calculator. To plug this in, we're going to have to use parentheses around the numerator. So let me show you that here. Move it over here too so you can see the function. Okay, so I'm going to clear this out, and I'm going to put parentheses e to the x. Here's my e above the natural log key. E to the x, close that sets of parentheses, minus e to the negative x. And again, you want to hit the negative key, not the minus key. Okay, close that one, and then close the whole numerator. Now the numerator has parentheses around it. Divide by 2. And if I graph that one, and match it up with what we have on our paper, it would be D. Okay, so let's go ahead and write down the answers here so that we have them all. Starting with the top of the page. Okay, this first one, if you recall, was number 2. Y is equal to 2 to the negative absolute value of x. The second one that we just did was was y is equal to absolute value of 2 to the x minus 1. So B is number 3. Okay, now let's go to the next page. Okay, if you recall, C was the very first one. So this is 1. Y is equal to 3 to the negative x plus 1 squared. And then finally, this last one, D, was number 4. Y is equal to e to the x minus e to the negative x over 2. So that concludes this worksheet.